My brother's daughter sent a fake separation message to my wife through my tablet while I was asleep at his house, so I canceled her birthday, took back the chef's knife set, cut her off financially, made her do community service, and blocked all contact. She attempted suicide and blamed me. Now the family is attacking me, saying I'm cruel for punishing a 16-year-old. They say the worst betrayals come from the people you love. I used to think that was just a line people threw around in movies or Reddit rants. But that was before the day everything in my marriage cracked wide open, because of a message I never sent. My name is Victor. I'm 42 years old and live in Bend, Oregon. I teach culinary arts at the local college and occasionally consult on luxury kitchen designs. That's why I was at my brother Danny's place last weekend. He asked for help installing an outdoor kitchen setup for a family party. It was supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be simple. That Saturday started off like any other. Early coffee, a packed toolbox, and sunblock slathered on my neck. Danny and I spent hours under the sun digging trenches for the gas lines and figuring out where the smoker and pizza oven would sit. By early afternoon, I was drained. My shirt stuck to my back, my eyes burned from the sweat. When Danny suggested I crash in the guest room for a couple of hours, I didn't think twice. I left my tablet charging on the side table in the living room and passed out the second I hit the pillow. When I got home that night, everything felt off. Marissa, my wife, barely looked up from the kitchen island. She was chopping onions, but the pieces were uneven, jagged. Her jaw clenched like she was trying not to scream or cry. Maybe both. "Hey," I said gently. "Everything okay?" She glanced at me, eyes glassy. "So, you want to separate now?" My mouth opened, but no sound came out. "What?" Marissa set the knife down, wiped her hands on a dish towel, and picked up her phone. With shaking fingers, she opened a text thread and handed it to me. It was my name at the top, my number, my picture, a whole string of messages I apparently sent while I was napping at Danny's. "I've been thinking about things lately. I don't think this marriage is working anymore. I still care about you, but I don't think I'm in love with you. We should talk about separating. I'll start packing next week." Every word was like a slap to the face. "I didn't send these," I said, heart hammering in my chest. "Marissa, I swear to God, this wasn't me." She didn't reply. She just watched me with that hollow look, like someone trying to see through a stranger. I was asleep, baby. I was at Danny's. You can ask him. I reached into my bag and pulled out my tablet. It was still warm from charging. My hands trembled as I opened the messaging app. Nothing. The whole thread was gone. My breath caught in my throat. I scrolled, checked the sent folder, the trash, even the system logs. No record. "I don't understand," I muttered. "It's not here. It's like it never existed." Marissa's face twisted. "So what? I'm just making it up." "No," I said quickly. "No, that's not what I mean. Something's not right. Someone must have used my tablet." A slow, bitter laugh escaped her. "Who, Victor? Your brother?" "One of his kids." My stomach sank. Lila, Danny's 16-year-old daughter. Always on her phone, always sneaking looks at mine or swiping through apps when no one was watching. I remembered the way she smiled that day, a little too wide when I handed her the remote and told her I'd be napping. A cold, nauseating feeling crawled over me. "I need to talk to Danny," I said, already reaching for my phone. Because something was deeply wrong. And if I was right, if Lila really had done what I thought she had, then this wasn't just a prank. It was sabotage, and it might have just broken my marriage in half. I called Danny the second I stepped outside, barely able to form full sentences. "I need to see the footage from your house, your living room, near the guest room. Today, while I was asleep." There was a pause. Yeah. I mean, the cameras are always recording." "What?" I didn't want to say it yet. "Not over the phone. Can you FaceTime me? And put it on speaker. Marissa needs to see this too." Danny's face popped onto the screen a few seconds later, confusion written all over it. "You okay, man? You look." "Just pull up the footage," I interrupted. "From around 2 to 4 p.m. main lounge cam." He blinked, but didn't argue. "Okay." While we waited, Marissa stood beside me with her arms crossed, staring at the screen like it might bite her. She didn't say a word, but I could feel the heat coming off her like a furnace. She didn't trust me. Not fully, and I couldn't blame her. "All right, here we go," Danny said, pointing his phone at the screen in his home office. He scrubbed the timeline. 2:05 p.m. "Okay, here's Lila. She's on the couch. Is my tablet there?" I asked. "Yep, right next to her. Charging. Keep watching." He did. Lila looked around, made sure the coast was clear, then picked up my tablet, typed in the passcode. Jesus, I hadn't even realized she knew it, and settled in. The footage showed her laughing at the screen, fingers moving fast. "That's 2:15, Danny muttered, fast-forwarding. "She's still going, man. She's on that thing a long time." By 2:40, she had kicked off her shoes and curled up with the tablet like it was a movie night. By 3:10, She was laughing. Not giggling full-on, head-back laughter, like something she wrote was hilarious. Marissa's face turned to stone beside me. "Danny," I said quietly, "can you call her in?" He nodded and disappeared off camera for a minute. We waited, staring at the frozen frame of Lila with my tablet on her lap and a smug grin on her face. When the feed picked up again, Lila was sitting on the couch, arms folded, looking irritated. "What is this?" she asked. "You tell me," Danny said, keeping his voice level. "Did you use Uncle Vic's tablet today?" She shrugged. "Maybe. I was just watching videos." "Videos?" Danny hit play. The recording showed her typing. Message app screen reflected faintly off her glasses. She wasn't watching anything. "Lila," I said, my voice low and shaking, "did you send messages to my wife pretending to be me?" Her lips parted. "What? No." She stopped when Danny paused the video and zoomed in. "You want to lie again?" he asked, his voice sharper now. "Because I swear to God, I was just messing around." She snapped, her eyes filling fast with tears. I didn't think she'd believe it. It was a joke. "I was testing you guys. Testing us," Marissa said, her voice like ice. "You told me my husband wanted to leave me. I thought you'd laugh about it later." Lila cried. "I didn't know you'd freak out." Danny just stared at her, jaw tight. "You used his real account. You read their messages. You wrote stuff that could have ended their marriage, and you think that's funny?" Lila's voice cracked. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. I wanted to yell, to scream. But all I could do was sit there, numb, watching this teenage girl cry while everything I loved had almost gone up in smoke. And all because she was bored and thought our pain would be entertaining. By Monday morning, I had made up my mind. There were things I could forgive. But not this. Not lies that nearly wrecked my marriage. Not a child who played puppeteer with my life and thought it was a joke. Not a family that thought the only consequence should be a stern talking to. I texted Danny early. "Lila's birthday party is off. I'll be by this week to collect the knives." He didn't argue. Just replied with a single word. "Understood." The knives were a chef said I'd picked out for her months ago, carbon steel, Japanese forged, professional grade. She'd shadowed me in the kitchen a few times last year, all starry-eyed and curious. I thought it was the start of something real between us. Thought maybe she'd caught the culinary bug. Not anymore. I drove to their house that afternoon. Danny met me at the door. No smile, no pleasantries. Just a quiet nod as he handed over the wrapped box from the hall closet. "She's in her room," he said. "Still grounded. No phone. No internet. You want to talk to her?" "No," I said. "I've said all I needed to." I got halfway to my truck before I turned around. "One more thing. I'm cutting off anything extra. No more school payments. No summer programs. Nothing. She wants to earn trust again. She can start by working for it." "You sure about that?" Danny asked, arms folded. "She wants to manipulate adults like one? She can take the consequences like one." He didn't argue. Later that week, Marissa and I sat down together and updated every digital account, passwords, device links, security settings. We installed two-factor authentication and bought a locked drawer for our electronics. I even put my tablet on a biometric login. We were treating it like a crime scene, because in a way, it was. By Friday, the backlash had started. My phone lit up with a string of messages from our mother. "Mom, she's a child. Victor. Mom, you're the adult here. She made a mistake. Mom, canceling her birthday? That's cruel. Aunt Lisa, I heard you're cutting her off completely. That's beyond harsh. What happened to forgiveness? Cousin Joel, she idolized you. And now you're making her feel worthless." I didn't respond to any of them. Even Marissa got a few texts from her side of the family. Everyone had opinions. Everyone wanted to chime in, and not one of them had been there the night she showed me those messages. Marissa stood by me publicly. But at night, she seemed different. Quieter. Less certain. I could feel the space between us still lingering, like smoke from a fire we hadn't fully put out. "She's just a kid," she said one night as we got into bed. "She's 16, I replied. "Old enough to know better." Marissa didn't answer. Just rolled over and turned out the light. And I lay there in the dark, wondering if maybe, just maybe, I had gone too far. But then I remembered the look on her face when she showed me those texts. The pain. The betrayal. The tears she tried to blink away. And I knew I was doing the only thing I could, protecting my home from the inside out. The fight didn't start with yelling. It started with silence. Marissa and I sat on opposite ends of the couch, the TV humming in the background, a plate of untouched leftovers between us. The kind of quiet that wasn't peaceful, the kind that made your skin itch. "I've been thinking," she finally said. I paused the TV. "About." She didn't look at me. Just picked at a thread on her sweater. "About that night. The messages. Everything that came after." I waited. I knew that tone. "Do you really think we handled it right?" she asked softly. I didn't answer right away. I knew better than to respond on instinct. "What are you saying?" Marissa finally looked up. Her eyes were tired. "I'm saying, maybe we were too harsh. She's 16, Vic. That part of the brain, it isn't even fully formed yet. My jaw tightened. She told you your husband didn't love you anymore. She was trying to get a reaction. She got one. Marissa let out a sigh and leaned back against the cushion. You remember when I had postpartum? After Jacob was born. I blinked, caught off guard by the shift. Of course I do. I used to stare at the baby monitor and cry for no reason, she said quietly. You came home once and I had locked myself in the bathroom because I thought someone was watching us through the outlets. That was different. Was it? She interrupted. Because you held me through that. You didn't punish me. You didn't shut me out. I felt something flicker in my chest. You were sick, Marissa. That was an actual mental health crisis. This was calculated. She bit her lip. But how do we know the difference? She said it was a joke, but what if it wasn't just about us? What if she was spiraling in her own way? I shook my head. That's not our job to fix. That's her parents, not ours. Marissa closed her eyes for a long moment. It just hurts, she whispered. Because you and I were already off before this. And when those messages came, part of me believed them. That stopped me cold. She opened her eyes and met mine. Not because I wanted to. Because I was already afraid you felt that way. I felt the air leave my lungs. You thought I was leaving you? I thought maybe you were tired of fighting for it. For us. I moved closer and took her hand. I was tired, yes, but not of you. Tears welled in her eyes. Then why did I believe a message a teenager sent in your name? I couldn't answer that. We sat there in the silence again, but it was a different kind now. Raw. Honest. The kind that comes after the mask falls off. I'm scared, she whispered, that we've gotten so used to holding everything together that we forgot how to just be okay. I leaned in and kissed her forehead. Then we figure it out. Together. She nodded, but I could still feel the uncertainty in her shoulders. I still think about her, she said. About how scared she looked. Maybe we should have handled it differently. Maybe, I admitted. But I don't regret setting boundaries. We needed them. Still do. She squeezed my hand. So what now? Now, I said quietly, we protect this house. And each other. Because even if we were both still healing, I knew one thing for sure. No one gets to fracture this home from the inside, not without consequence. I got the call from Danny late one night, just as I was finishing dishes. Marissa had already gone upstairs. The kitchen lights were dim, the air still. Hey, Danny said. You got a second? Yeah. I dried my hands. What's up? A pause. Then, there's more. That tightened something in my chest. More what? He sighed. I checked the footage again. Different days. I was trying to understand why Lila even knew your passcode. And, man, she's been on your tablet before. A lot. I leaned against the counter. How often? Enough that it's not just a one-time mistake. I pulled the logs from our router, too. She was accessing your tablet's messages, email, even banking apps. I blinked. Wait. What? She didn't transfer large amounts. But she did enough to stay under the radar. $50 here, 80 there. Over and over. I counted at least $800 in total. All sent to some cash transfer app. I felt my stomach turn. She stole from me? She didn't take the money and run. She was using it like it was hers. App Store stuff. Uber Eats. Little things that wouldn't trigger alarms. But that's not all. Danny hesitated, then added, she went through your notes, Vic private messages. Saved drafts. She read everything. I didn't speak. Couldn't. I just stood there, heart pounding. You okay? He asked. No, I said. No, I'm not. By the next morning, I had pulled the logs myself. And Danny wasn't exaggerating. There were login pings from his network going back nearly 3 months, quiet ones, hidden in the noise of routine use. I sat down with Marissa that afternoon, spread the printouts across the table. She was reading our texts, I said. Even the ones about your anxiety last winter. About Jacob's school issues. Everything. Marissa's hand went to her mouth. Jesus. She didn't just send fake messages. She studied us. She knew how to sound like me because she'd been watching. Tears formed in her eyes. How much did she see? Enough to know things that weren't hers to know. Later that day, I called Danny. Told him I was considering pressing charges. I wasn't looking for drama. I was looking for accountability. She broke into my digital life, I said. This wasn't just a prank. It was methodical. Intentional. Danny was quiet for a long moment. I understand if you do. But I'm begging you not to. Not yet. I wanted to scream. Instead, I let the silence speak. She's scared out of her mind, he continued. She wrote you a letter. It doesn't explain it all, but it's something. I didn't care about a letter. I cared about the fact that I had welcomed her into my life, my home, and she had used that access to quietly pick us apart. I don't trust her anymore, I said. And I don't think I can ever again. Danny understood. But understanding didn't erase what had happened. It just made it harder to ignore how long it had been going on without me ever suspecting, and how deep the betrayal truly ran. By the end of the week, it wasn't just family calling me cruel, it was strangers. It started with a Facebook post. My mother shared an old picture of Lila as a toddler, standing beside me in a miniature apron. The caption read, "A man who once called her his kitchen shadow. Now he won't even take her calls. Family means forgiveness." The comments poured in fast. Friends, distant cousins, church ladies I hadn't spoken to in years. "She's just a child. How can you turn your back on your niece like that? Holding a grudge over a prank? Shame on you." By the end of the day, it had nearly 100 comments. Then came the DMs, messages from complete strangers. People accusing me of destroying a young girl's future. One woman said I was emotionally abusive for blocking Lila on everything. A guy I barely knew from high school chimed in. Saw the post. "Not cool, man. You used to be better than this." I wanted to scream. They didn't know the details. They didn't see the message thread that gutted my wife. They didn't see the proof of Lila siphoning money, or the pain etched into Marissa's face the night she read the fake separation texts. They saw a curated sob story and decided I was the villain. Even my kids noticed. "Why is Grandma saying you hate Lila now?" my daughter asked one morning, holding my phone after using it to play music. "Are you mad at her forever?" I took a deep breath. "No. I'm mad at what she did. That's different." "But she said sorry," Jacob added quietly. "Didn't she?" Marissa stepped in quickly, changing the subject. But the damage was done. The seeds of guilt had been planted, not just in the community, but in my own house. Meanwhile, Danny stayed solid. He even offered to pay back the stolen money himself, out of Lila's savings. "She's grounded. No electronics. No social media. She's doing chores, community work. I'm not letting this go," he told me. "But please don't let them flip this on you." "I already lost control of the narrative," I said. "I'm the guy punishing a teenager over some innocent mistake. Then tell your side." So I did. I wrote a post, just one. Calm. Factual. I laid out the basics, the tablet, the message, the impersonation, the money. I didn't name names. Didn't get emotional. I ended it with this. "If you've received a message from my number in the past 2 months that felt strange, please double check. And if you're wondering why I'm not rushing to forgive and forget, maybe ask how you'd feel if your marriage nearly ended over a lie sent from your own device." The post went viral in a small-town kind of way, shared, debated, picked apart. Some people apologized. Others doubled down. But I didn't care. Because for once, the truth wasn't just living in my head. It was out there. And I wasn't about to apologize for protecting my family from the inside out. It was a Tuesday morning when the call came in. I was unloading groceries, thinking about what to make for dinner, when my phone buzzed with Danny's name. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to pick up. "Hey." She tried to kill herself. Everything around me went still. Danny's voice was shaking. "Lila. She took pills. Emma, she found her. She's breathing, but they're keeping her in ICU. You need to come." By the time I got to the hospital, Marissa was already in the passenger seat, still in pajamas, hair pulled back, eyes rimmed red. Neither of us spoke during the drive. The silence was heavy, too big for words. The ICU waiting room smelled like antiseptic and bad coffee. Danny met us at the door. His face looked like he hadn't slept in days. "She left a note," he said quietly. "It's short. You should read it." He handed me a crumpled piece of paper. In faint purple ink, written with the same rounded, bubble handwriting she used to label her school folders. "I'm sorry. I ruined everything. I thought if I made things messy, maybe I'd know if I mattered. I wanted to feel important. But now no one will ever love me again. Especially Uncle Victor. And he used to be my favorite person." I stared at the paper until my vision blurred. My knees felt weak. "She took Tylenol PM. Almost a whole bottle," Danny said. "Emma found her in the bathroom. Said she was pale and slurring her words. We got her here just in time." Marissa sat down, hands covering her face. She was shaking. "Is she conscious?" I asked. Danny nodded. "In and out. They've got her on fluids and oxygen. She'll be okay, physically. We visited her every day that week. I never stayed long. I'd sit beside her bed, say her name softly, and leave before the weight in my chest crushed me. The first time I walked in, she looked away. The second time, she didn't look at all. By the third, she finally whispered, "I didn't mean it to go that far." "I know," I said. But it did. My kids were quiet at home. Jacob started sleeping in our bed again, something he hadn't done in years. Ella asked if she was going to lose her cousin. Neither of them understood all the layers. Just that the air in our house had gotten heavier. My mother called me that Friday. Her voice was brittle, cracking around the edges. "You need to fix this," she said. I blinked. "Fix what?" "You need to go see her and forgive her. Tell her it's okay. She thinks you hate her. She's not eating. She's scared to even wake up." "Maybe she should be," I said flatly. "She's a child," my mom snapped. "She made a mistake." "No, she made 10. Over months. And you didn't say a word when she was painting me as a monster. Now you want me to be the hero. Don't twist this, Victor." "I'm not twisting anything. I'm standing in the wreckage." She went quiet. Then, softly, Please. For her. For the family. I hung up without answering. I didn't know what the right move was anymore. The lines between punishment and compassion had blurred. I wasn't angry anymore. I was tired. Tired of being the villain, the victim, the wall everyone screamed at and leaned on. But as I watched Lila's chest rise and fall beneath tubes and monitors, I felt something loosen in my chest. I couldn't save her from everything. But maybe I didn't have to destroy her either. Lila was released from the hospital 6 days later. Danny called me that morning. She wants to see you. In person. No pressure, but she asked if you'd come. I agreed. Not because I was ready, but because I didn't want her wondering forever whether I still saw her as a person or just a problem that nearly burned my life down. When I arrived, she was sitting on the back porch bundled in a hoodie 2 sizes too big. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, her eyes puffy and rimmed red. She looked younger than 16. Softer. Smaller. She stood up when I stepped outside, but didn't move toward me. I'm sorry, she said before I could open my mouth. I'm really sorry. I nodded once. I know. She looked down at her hands. I don't know why I did it. I mean, the prank. Not the hospital thing. I guess. I thought if I messed with something big enough, maybe people would notice me. Not just scroll past me. My chest ached. But I kept my voice steady. Lila, you weren't invisible. You were loved. You still are. But what you did, it broke something. Not just with me. With Marissa. With your cousins. She nodded quickly, biting her lip to stop it from trembling. I know. I ruined it. And I don't expect anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not because you're here, but because I meant it. We stood in silence for a moment. The trees swayed gently behind us. She stared at the deck boards. I forgive you, I said quietly. She looked up, eyes wide. You do? Yes. I forgive you as a person. I don't hate you. I never wanted to. Her shoulders dropped, like she'd been holding her breath for days. But that doesn't mean everything goes back to normal. Her eyes fell again. Okay. There won't be a birthday party, I continued. I'm not buying you any more gifts. No surprise knives, no extra money, no casual visits. When you come over, it'll be supervised. And I'll be watching. Closely. She nodded. That's fair. I'm still going to fund your college tuition, I added. As promised. Not because I feel warm and fuzzy, but because I want you to have a future. I believe in who you could be. But you have to earn the rest back. Tears spilled down her cheeks, then quietly, without theatrics. She whispered, thank you, but it came out like a breath. I walked away before it could turn into anything else. I didn't hug her. Didn't linger. That part had to come later, if it came at all. The family stayed split down the middle. Some called me wise, calm, patient. Others said I was cold, vindictive. Said I was holding a grudge against a teenager who had already tried to take her own life. I didn't argue with any of them. I wrote a letter instead, not to Lila, but to my own kids. I sat on the porch that night and wrote in pen. I hope one day you understand why I did what I did. Love doesn't mean ignoring harm. And forgiveness doesn't mean pretending things never happened. Sometimes, protecting the people you love means drawing a line. Not out of spite, but out of hope. Hope that they learn, grow, and maybe one day come back stronger. I will always love you both. And I will always protect our peace, even when it's hard. Especially then. I sealed the letter and tucked it in my desk drawer. Because someday, my kids would be old enough to read it. And I wanted them to know, doing the right thing doesn't always look like kindness. Sometimes, it looks like walking away and still leaving the door unlocked.